speech at a young gay couple turns himself in.
It's a false dichotomy to claim that if you want to have electric cars, you have to rape the ocean floor to do it.
The future of deep sea mining, why conservationists here want to see it banned, but industry say it's necessary for clean energy.
These places are where we as Vancouverites met. And so when they disappear, the DNA of the city changes a little bit.
And a stroll down memory lane. Musicians lament the loss of live music venues in BC. Good evening, I'm Lien Yeung. Thanks for joining us. It was a disturbing incident caught on camera and shared widely online. A man seen hurling homophobic slurs at a young couple at a Vancouver SkyTrain station. Police say the suspect has now been arrested.
Through the course of the investigation, we were able to identify a suspect. He actually turned himself in to us after seeing the video online, which had gone so viral and generated so much attention, in large part because of the intolerant, hateful, hurtful speech that was included in the video, and it generated a significant amount of attention.
Oh my God.
I don't want this in my country.
Get off my face.
Don't talk to him. Do you understand me? Don't you? Oh, talk.
The suspect has not yet been named as charges have not been formally approved. He was seen on video there yelling slurs and insults at Jamie Pine and his boyfriend as they were leaving the Burrard station Tuesday. Police say the suspect was also arrested on unrelated firearms offense. He has since been released pending his next court appearance on March 29th. In Abbotsford, police are investigating after a man's body was found inside a home being used as a suspected drug lab. Officers say they were called to the 7,000 block of Nicholson Avenue just after 4 a.m. on Friday morning for a report of a shooting. 2 people at the scene were taken into custody. Police say they are still trying to identify the victim, and they believe his death is linked to the illegal drug trade. Vancouver police are again warning seniors to be wary of strangers showing up at their doorsteps. They say elderly people continue to be tricked into handing over thousands of dollars in cash to fraudsters.
Typically what will happen is senior citizen will get a phone call from a person posing as their grandchild, their grandson or their granddaughter, saying, "Hi, Grandma, Grandpa, something bad has happened. I've been arrested." Usually it's a minor offense. Something like, been caught with drugs in their car or impaired driving or something like that. But it's like, "Grandma, I'm in jail. I really need you to send some money to bail me out of jail. I need $2,500, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, whatever they come up with." The scammers are succeeding because they're preying on love and fear.
Vancouver police are warning fraudsters are becoming more sophisticated and creative. Police believe criminals are researching victims through social media. Investigators recommend families consider privatizing sensitive information online. Authorities are also asking financial institutions to watch out for seniors making unusually large withdrawals. BPD says last year alone, 56 victims lost more than $700,000 to scammers. One of the Vancouver Canucks' most loved players was laid to rest today. The Musqueam band hosted a celebration of life for Gino Ojic.
Today, he's a true legend, without a doubt, and I'm honored to say that.
Ojic died at the age of 52 last month. Hailing from the Kitigan-Zibi Anishinabeg First Nation in Quebec, he was a fan favorite and gave back to Indigenous communities, leading the Musqueam to call him their own. Throughout his career and even after retirement in 2002, Ojic led workshops teaching Indigenous youth on issues like relationship building and anti-bullying. Well, it all started with a daring rescue at sea and ended up with a Victoria man arrested by American police in a bizarre incident involving a fish and a house from the Goonies. A Coast Guard swimmer there being lowered to save Jericho Labonte of Victoria yesterday after that yacht he allegedly stole was caught in rough surf at the mouth of the Columbia River. Turns out Labonte is wanted in BC on a number of charges, including harassment and mischief from last fall. But American officials were already looking for him since last week for another case of mischief. Police say he left a dead fish at the Astoria, Oregon home featured in the 1985 film The Goonies. Yesterday's Coast Guard rescue helped police find him.
Sometime yesterday, he stole a boat valued at $160,000 and made it out to the Pacific Ocean, got into trouble, called Mayday. The Coast Guard rescued him.
Police say he was allegedly obsessed with the Goonies. The owner of the overturned yacht reported the vessel stolen on the day of the rescue. Labonte has since been taken into custody and may be charged with theft, endangering another person, unauthorized use of a vehicle, and criminal mischief. The world's foremost experts on the oceans are gathered on our shores tonight. They are here, meeting with government leaders to chart the course on protecting our waters.
A few weeks ago, the world gathered in Montreal to set the target of protecting 30% of the global ocean by 2030. Now people have come to Vancouver to discover and work together how we will protect the ocean. It's one thing to set a target, it's another thing to accomplish it.
The 5th International Marine Protected Areas Congress, or Impact 5, kicked off this weekend. This year, the public can join the discussion at the Ocean Festival, which runs until tomorrow at Jack Pool Plaza. Families can enjoy free live entertainment, interactive exhibits, and on-site food trucks. Ottawa is expected to announce new marine protections tomorrow. And banning deep-sea mining is among the measures one group of conservationists are hoping to see. They've made their voices heard today, protesting outside Impact 5. They say seabed mining can cause further harm to an already fragile ocean ecosystem. But as Janella Hamilton reports, those who defend the practice say it helps meet global demands for clean energy.
We have an opportunity to find that connection to the ocean within our hearts. And that's what drives us.
Planet over profit. That's the message these protesters are leaning into, using their voice to put a stop to deep-sea mining in the Pacific Ocean before it even starts.
We continue on this path of just clear-cutting, destroying, extracting all these resources that we really don't need.
Deep-sea mining will fail! Our land is good for sale! Protesters marching from outside the Impact 5 Congress to the headquarters of Vancouver's The Metals Company. TMC mines metals for batteries used in EVs and solar panels. They want to do deep-sea mining along a stretch of ocean between Mexico and Hawaii as early as this summer.
You're looking at a mining area that will be the biggest mining area on Earth if this goes ahead.
The company says deep-sea metals are urgently needed for the clean energy transition, but critics say moving too quickly could destroy an ecosystem scientists know very little about, and unlike surface mining, is difficult to monitor and mitigate.
We know more about the surface of the moon and Mars than we do about the seafloor, which means we don't know about the carbon sequestration potential of the deep sea.
The leader of the Green Party agrees. Elizabeth May thinks Canada should ban deep-sea mining and look at other ways to extract these critical metals by increasing recycling and using land-based mines.
It's a false dichotomy to claim that if you want to have electric cars, you have to rape the ocean floor to do it.
In a statement, TMC says they are also committed to combating climate change, questioning protesters' demands, saying in part, simply saying no is easy. Finding real solutions is the hard bit. Are you not alarmed by the intensification of destructive land-based extraction?
So the possible environmental impacts are going to be making the water super cloudy, like leaching of metals into the water.
These advocates say the safest path for the planet is to just stop deep-sea mining. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Another remote community on Vancouver Island is sounding the alarm over the lack of doctors and nurses. Residents in northern Haida Gwaii are worried about the shortage that could force ER closures. This group rallied yesterday outside the hospital in Masset. They're demanding health authorities do more to recruit locum physicians, nurses, and paramedics. If the ER has to close, the mayor says the next closest hospital is in Dajingid, over 100 kilometers away. It would tie up ambulances for hours, putting lives at stake.
They're looking at more than a 3 to 4 hour call out, because they also have to then, the emergency service then has to, that ambulance has to drive from Dodging Geats back to wherever it started from. And in that long span of time, if there's another event, that person's just not going to be seen.
Northern Health says it's been working the past several years to stabilize staffing levels, but recognizes it's been a struggle and temporary closures are possible. Well, some of the best cross-country skiers are in the Kootenays this weekend, participating in the Western Nordic Championships. And as CBC's Corey Bullock explains, it's history in the making for a small-town BC ski club.
Racers of all ages from across BC, Alberta, and Washington State are competing in Kimberley this weekend. History in the making for the local Nordic club.
It's super exciting that we're hosting Westerns in Kimberley. It's such a big race, and it's cool to see racers from all over Western Canada coming here to Kimberley.
The history of Nordic skiing in the city began more than 90 years ago. For several decades, cross-country skiing took place on the streets and mining exploration trails in town. Today, Nordic skiers can enjoy dozens of trails that climb along the side of North Star Mountain.
So it's great that Kimberley can showcase what they have to people from all around.
There are 3 different styles of races taking place, varying in time and distance. Among the athletes and coaches are a team of volunteers who are working to make sure the races go off without a hitch.
There's a lot of lead time. I know they've been planning, I think, for years for this event, but in terms of the volunteering, we just need a good group of people who are eager to help each other out and learn a new skill.
The weather has turned out really well, and the athletes are having so much fun.
The athletes agree.
It's fun to be back here for the Westerns. A bit of a higher level of competition, but no stress for us. We'll just come out here, have some fun, you know.
The conditions are like so pristine. It's like perfect temperature, and the snow is like so nice and it's not icy, so it's really exciting.
Charlie Bruce is from Kamloops. He's one of the oldest racers competing.
And it helped to start early. As an older athlete, they'd let the olders go, I guess, because knowing full well that we're going to get passed by these young bullets that ski so well. So yeah, it's been just a wonderful experience. Good turnout.
The races continue tomorrow at the Kimberley Nordic Club. Corey Bullock, CBC News, Kimberley.
Local musicians are speaking out about venues that have been lost over time. Through a crowdsourced map, they are documenting the bars, nightclubs, venues, and art spaces of Vancouver that have been replaced by condos and businesses. As Yasmin Gandam tells us, with outlets for expression dwindling, music industry advocates are concerned.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
As musicians Jesse Waldman and Noah Walker stroll down Commercial Drive, they can't help but be taken back to their glory days.
This was it. You'd walk in, the sound booth would be right there, there'd be booths all around, the stage was over there, and I've seen some outlandish stuff on this stage.
Waldman looking at what once was Café du Soleil, an arts hub that closed last fall after 30 years. But for him, it goes beyond the music. He met his life partner there and formed countless relationships.
It was like an extension of your living room. It was that kind of venue, and there's not many venues like that.
The now defunct cafe is one of many venues and art spaces that have closed down in Vancouver. After Waldman shared his grief for these places on social media, a friend was inspired to create an online map of them. It became the groundwork for a walking tour with the Push International Performing Arts Festival.
We invite people from all over the world to come here, but I can't imagine what they are going to do after the sun goes down, because not everybody wants to go to a dance club on Granville.
The nightclub scene has also drastically changed over the years, with numerous venues being replaced by condo buildings.
This used to be home to Richards on Richards, which a lot of people say was Vancouver's wildest, craziest, most famous nightclub to a certain generation in the 1980s. It really sort of, when Richards on Richards opened, the city hadn't really seen anything like that before.
Chapman says the loss isn't just about the venues, but the impact on culture and community.
These places are where we as Vancouverites met. And so when they disappear, the DNA of the city changes a little bit.
Walker is concerned that the lack of venues will deter people from the craft.
It's just not worth it to spend all day workshopping songs and rehearsing your material, but there's nowhere to play that's going to pay you anything.
For now, they play on, even if there's no space to perform. Yasmin Gandim, CBC News, Vancouver.
A suspected spy balloon off the U.S. East Coast shot down. Washington calls it a clear violation of U.S. sovereignty. That story when we return. After drifting for days across North America, a Chinese balloon has been shot down off the U.S. East Coast, with the debris being sent to the FBI to decipher. President Joe Biden says he gave the order to shoot it down on Wednesday, but advised the military to wait until there was minimal risk to American lives. Chris Reyes shows us what happened.
A clear order from the President of the United States.
I told them to shoot it down.
Shoot this down. What the U.S. government has identified as a Chinese spy balloon, first spotted earlier this week over Montana. A missile shot it down Saturday afternoon off the coast of South Carolina. President Biden says he gave the orders on Wednesday, but he was told to wait.
They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, They decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water outside within the 12-mile limit.
The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration closed off airspace before the operation, grounding flights at 3 different airports in North and South Carolina.
I want to compliment our aviators who did it, and we'll have more to report on this a little later.
Biden didn't answer questions on China. China has countered the U.S. accusation of spying, officially apologizing for what they called a weather research airship gone astray. The discovery of the balloon prompted the cancellation of a visit to Beijing by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, scheduled this Sunday.
It is a little puzzling that this happened right now. Why do this and therefore risk this visit that I think both sides have felt like is important, again, and putting a floor under the rapidly deteriorating bilateral relationship.
U.S. defense officials say the payload will now be investigated and that the balloon entered Canadian airspace Monday, then re-entered U.S. airspace. In a statement, Defense Minister Anita Anand confirmed that Canada was involved in the operation to shoot down the balloon, adding that Canada has been closely engaged with its U.S. counterparts on the decision and unequivocally supports the actions taken. This morning, China claimed Blinken's visit was never formally scheduled. China's foreign ministry issuing this statement. The U.S. making any such announcement is their own business, and we respect that. The Pentagon says there are reports of another balloon moving through Latin America that they believe is also a Chinese surveillance device. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Today, the war in Ukraine saw an exchange of prisoners between the two sides, with almost 200 soldiers repatriated. Video on social media purported to show some of the Ukrainian POWs arriving by bus. 116 Ukrainians in all were released. Russia's defense ministry provided similar video. 63 of its soldiers were returned today. Reports say the United Arab Emirates helped to mediate the exchange. The first of Canada's Leopard 2 tanks is heading to Ukraine. Defense Minister Anita Anand confirmed the flight has left Halifax. It was loaded onto a C-17 yesterday. Overall, Canada has pledged 4 Leopard 2 tanks. They were purchased during the war with Afghanistan. A project aimed at increasing the number of Black Canadian stem cell donors kicked off in Toronto today. It's called Donor Drive for Dorothy, and it coincides with Black History Month. The CBC's Ithel Musa reports.
A simple swab can save a life. That's the message Dorothy Vernon Brown is hoping to spread. A decade ago, she was battling leukemia.
My chance of survival meant I needed a stem cell transplant.
Vernon Brown sought help from the Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry, but they couldn't find a match. She credits her sister, who was a partial one, with saving her life. Now she's determined to get more Black people into the National Stem Cell Registry so that more lives can be saved.
Numbers matter. We need a large donor pool in order to give patients like me an opportunity to find their perfect match so they can be alive. It's simple.
About 1.6% of donors in Canada's stem cell registry are of African descent, while around 3% of the Canadian population self-identify as Black. One expert points to the harmful legacy of bans on blood donations from people born in some African countries as a major reason.
For a long time, Black people weren't seen as healthy and therefore as suitable donors, systemic anti-Black racism. And the blood agencies over time participated in that stigmatizing of Black people and Black communities.
The Canadian Blood Services lifted its ban in 2016, and it says it's developing anti-racist practices. People here are also hoping the younger generation will help turn things around.
If we just come in as a community, a lot of people it will be a lot better, and the percent will rise a lot.
I'm here today because I feel like I'd be eligible and I'd be willing to help someone out.
The hope is to swab 5,000 Black Canadians this year to help increase the number of Black stem cell donors. Ithel Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
And that was the view from Long Beach Lodge at Tofino around sunset today. He needed some rain boots to enjoy that view. Gray and dreary. More of that on the way. I'll have your full forecast next. Time now to talk about the weather. Not the prettiest of days, but it is Vancouver kind of day, a bit gray and dreary. Here's a look at your conditions to start. There's the temperatures, 8 degrees at YVR, 6 degrees in Pitt Meadows, also 6 in the valley. There's in Abbotsford, and a little cooler as you head out to Hope, looking at 4 degrees. Those temperatures still above seasonal. And there's your forecast for tomorrow. There's some precipitation, particularly in Prince Rupert, a windy one, gusting up to potentially 90 kilometers per hour in the evening. If you're in Kelowna, though, you are seeing some sunshine. 4 degrees will be your high. In Cranbrook, looking at a bit of sun, potential for some flurries and rain snow mix in Prince George. If you're in Victoria, looking at rainfall, 10 degrees will be your high. And similar for us here on the south coast tomorrow, 9 degrees will be our high. 7 for Monday. You can see that rain sticks around for a couple days, and then it turns into showers towards midweek. But temperature is still well above seasonal, so not complaining there right now. And that's it for us this Saturday night. Thank you so much for watching. For news at any hour, you can always go to our website, cbc.ca/BC. And I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Have a good evening.